On to Ethiopia now. It's rapidly becoming an economic force to reckon with in East Africa. In fact, a couple of months ago, according to IMF data, the country became East Africa's largest economy, effectively overtaking Kenya. Ethiopia's annual GDP for this year is actually expected to hit $78 billion from $72 billion in 2016. Now, the economic growth in the country since around 2015 has been about over 10%, and that's helped put a significant gap between Ethiopia's GDP and that of Kenya, which is growing about half as fast. Now, in monetary terms, Ethiopia has opened a gap of roughly $29 or so million in GDP, nominal GDP, over Kenya. CGTN's Girum Chala sat down with the Premier to find out what's giving that country an edge.
How are these industrial parks, the two of them that are inaugurated and those upcoming, are going to, help the country's economic growth in general terms?
First of all, I think we have learned from the success of many Asian countries, specifically China, South Korea, Singapore, and recently also Vietnam. So I think developing industrial parks has a huge advantage, especially in developing economy like Ethiopia, because there are a number of bureaucratic hassles and red tapes that can be tackled through establishing industrial parks to give one-stop service to investors. You know that Ethiopia has comparative advantage in terms of light manufacturing, especially textile and apparel, and shoe and textile, leather products and laser processing and agro processing. These are the main comparative advantages of Ethiopia. Of course, we have to go also for generic pharmaceuticals and construction materials production. And we focus in our second growth and transformation plan that we need to build a number of industrial parks, this time 15 by the federal government and a number of them by the regional states.
Africa has this vision of industrializing itself based on Agenda 2063 as well. Everybody wants in this continent to see Africa move away from exporting raw materials, raw jobs, to industrialization. How is Ethiopia, now that it has started the journey, is going to set a very good example for the rest of the continent?
I think this is a time for Africa. And Africa is going to be and is the second frontier of economic development. It used to be Europe and Western countries, and then moved to Asia, and now it's moving to Africa. So I think we have set as a global community to eradicate poverty by 2030 with Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And similarly, in Africa also we have Vision 2063, which is also a similar vision for industrial transformation and economic structural transformation of African nations. I think since the labor cost is soaring now in Asia, many investors has to come to Africa. And I visited myself around 8 provinces of China, and each one of them has agreed to relocate their light manufacturing sector, especially textile and apparel, leather and laser products, including shoe manufacturing, agro processing, and pharmaceuticals, and as well as construction materials production. So the production capacity development program we launched together with China is an instrument supporting this drive in my country.